everybody. I'm JD Nelson, more formally known as @Marketo Guy. For those of you that want to tweet me, go for it. I am been using Marketo for about 6 years. I've kind of been an advocate for all of them. Big fan. I have certified 5 times or something like that, but been a Marketo champion for 2 years now. And I think a lot of the speakers this year on the Marketo side are our fellow champions. So a lot of us that you're hearing from. So I was an early adopter of website personalization and content AI when it came out kind of in the 2015 timeframe. So it's been quite a few years. So why don't we get into it? A bit of background, so when using website personalization or content AI, and we'll get into a little bit what that is, a lot of it depends on how many people are coming to your website, how many emails you're sending that utilize the functionalities. So as kind of a caveat to the traffic we were doing, we were sending about 200,000 emails per month at the time. These are operational, these are response, these are webinars, these are demand gen, these are product, every email in Marketo. So not specific just to these campaigns, but just to give you kind of a kind of overview of what we're doing. We're also receiving about 10,000 unique visitors to our website per month. So think of it when you're personalizing your website, you're getting all these metrics for people. We're in the 10,000 range. Expect if you have these products, your results will vary, hopefully in the better, but just to kind of level set the field. So website personalization, I get a lot of requests, and I've been on the phone with a lot of Marketo customers, a lot of Marketo prospects. Website personalization content, they are add-on products, and so a lot of times, I do reference calls for them to try and explain kind of in a real-world scenario how I use it, what it's capable of. No sales pitch by any means, kind of giving everyone as much information. So that's kind of the purpose of getting people in here, is to really get into how I was using it, the nitty-gritty reports, the details, the success metrics, and then you can kind of glean some inspiration, hopefully, and find some tips and tricks for it. We will start a little in the weeds and work our way up to the colorful examples. So bear with some of the screenshots, but just to get everyone kind of level set on website personalization, it's what allows us as marketers to identify, segment, and then target those people, those visitors, with specific information across the website over time. And so the first question I get when trying to implement something like this is, how hard is it to set up, right? Are there, scripts and data crawlers and JavaScript that you need to imply? How is it different than the Munchkin code that people are already putting on their sites? And so it's actually simple. This is the code in its entirety. The only thing you have to update are those 2 little red lines, and then you just put it like in the header tag like you would any Munchkin code at the same time. So it plays kind of along those lines. So out of the bag, that's it. That's all you got to do. So easy to set up. My only tip is do not put it in Google Tag Manager if you're loading that, right? And this needs to load just as fast as your Munchkin code. It needs to load before anything else, if possible, so that you don't get a flash in your content. So if you've got a website and it says hello company name, you don't want it to say hello there and then switch to the company name and make a weird experience for your users. Kind of the biggest thing on website personalization, and really where you have the most capacity to create cool things, is in the segmentation and how you're able to do that. So I brought along kind of all the fields that are available in segmentation. Hopefully it looks all right blown up. These are just screenshots from the actual product. So just going to kind of run through these real quick. So firmographic information, right? This is all of your account data. Apparently I have a volume control. is where you can target people based on their location, based on what industry they're in, what type of organizational group, so Fortune 100, Fortune 500, that kind of information. You can run account lists, which is along the IP-based targeting, which we will cover a little bit more in a second. And so, what would a segmentation on firmographics look like purely? And this is, again, straight from the product. This is a campaign, a segmentation setup to target people in Las Vegas, where we are, right? This is targeting people in the Fortune 1000. And in this particularly random screenshot that I put together, they're in the industries of nonprofit, software and internet, or manufacturing. Anyone think of a segment that would cover all three of those industries? Anyway, that's how you would kind of use it. It's drag and drop, it's pick lists, it's that type of information. So really easy to create. This right here could be a complete segmentation that you run for an entire project, right? And this is only the first firmographic set. So as you kind of look at this, you kind of wonder and you think, how do I target people based on this information? How do I use my ABM methodologies to target and segment this data? This should sometimes match what you're doing in other platforms if you have, an ABM platform that you're using. You could mirror a lot of those in here. Known profiles are good for me. In here you have options like pulling in fields from your Marketo database. You can pull in Marketo email campaign members, so you can target people specifically on whether or not they've seen one specific email or responded to one specific email. Quick note, you get 30 fields to sync on the database side. I think I, at most, have ever synced, about 15, cinched, depends how you spell it, right? So yeah, I've used maybe 10 to 15 of those. They give you 30 as just kind of default out of the box information. The email campaigns pull in program members, whether it's a default program, an email program specifically, so you can target based on the interactions that they've had. My only recommendation or tips for quick startups or ways to get started, when you set up your database, these are my 6 default fields that I usually pick, right? You want to segment people on names if you pull them into your campaigns, company names, job titles, industries. If you get crazy and you start doing lead score or lead life cycle targeting, depending where they are in your journey, you can sync all that data in. And one of my favorites is the unsubscribed one. And so in this instance here, we're targeting people that have unsubscribed from my emails. So I'm not allowed to email them any information, but they still come to my website. I want to capitalize on that. I want to now target them with something to either get them to re-opt in, let them know that they either are unsubscribed, maybe they didn't mean to, or maybe they thought they were unsubscribing from one event or one set of emails, but turns out it was the whole thing. So I wanted to target them on whether they were unsubscribed. And I also, in this example, wanted to target them on whether or not they were a member and had received my product launch email that I'd sent out in January. So a good way to target these people, if you can't send them an email about your product launch because they're unsubscribed, this is a good way to target them. And kind of the cool thing about all of these sections, right, the firmographics, you mix and match all of them. You can make this as complex as you want or as simple, right? Two segmentations, you're really personalizing a lot of the content on your website, and it's kind of a good way to get started. Continuing right along, behavioral data. This covers things like visits to your website, so you can target number of visits. You can target whether, if they came to your website via a search engine, you could target them based on the keywords or the search terms that they used. You could go based on the referral address of their visit, another way to target. And you can include and exclude pages. Now, my only caveat here is that when you exclude people in a segmentation based on the page, I've run campaigns where I said, I want to personalize, every page that has a certain section on it to be personalized for these people. And I said, I don't want it to appear on this page. Segmentation is not how you do that. Right? So segmentation is pulling in people that had or had not been to that page, not running campaigns that we'll take a look at in a second to those. So save yourself some time. I wish I had. I spent a couple weeks on that, just trying to figure it out. All right, so here's a little bit more intricate segmentation. In this one, I was looking at people that had been to my demo or product page, which for us were key web pages. They had not requested a demo, which was a database field that I synced over, and they came to our website via a search engine searching at the time for innovation management. That's like holy grail at the time of who I wanted. So I want that message, the first person that person sees, to be very relevant, to be very directive on where I want them to go. You know, I don't maybe want to put up a contact us message. I want to say, you know, this is why you need our product, this is why, and let kind of them not go anywhere else. All right, the other sections, device browser, these are easy, right? Whether they're on a mobile device or on a browser. The APIs are for people smarter than myself. I did not use these because I don't speak that language. But I'm sure there's cool things you can do. If you have any ideas, I would love to steal them from you, so let me know. Right, so a lot of people are asking then too, you know, this is kind of new to people. People are getting into personalization. They're getting into the AI sections. You know, what don't I know? What are some cool ways to target people? What are some cool ways to use this technology? And if you're a customer of the ABM product, you have a kind of an overlay ability to use that ABM IP-based targeting in website personalization. And so you can start to really target your ABM models, whether for us it was target account list, right, which we had. Customer accounts, we wanted customers to see, you know, call your account rep instead of request a demo, because if you're a customer, why do you need a demo? So we wanted to be able to target them directly on whether they were a customer account. The number 3 in here were we were targeting people that were part of an account that had somebody in that account that was in an opportunity stage, right? So they're a prospect in pipe, but it's not that one person. We're now targeting that whole account of that person so that they get kind of a bit more expedited, personalized message, you know, getting them further down the funnel rather than throwing them top of funnel messaging that may be a little bit less relevant. And then you get to have some fun. And one of the things we liked when we were first started launching this product was the ability to target our competitors. And man, I love to mess with people so hard. If you're a competitor of mine and you're on my website, I don't like you. I don't want you to have the best experience. I don't want you to steal my information. I don't want you to know what I'm up to. So I'm going to make it as hard as possible for you to find anything, right? And so one of the easiest ways to do that, which I thoroughly enjoyed, was we had our top nav on our website, right? Basic product, solutions, customers, resources, company. If you're a target of mine, this is the most relevant information for you. It's right at the top. I want you to click on it. Here you go. If you're a competitor, you know, I have different ideas. So for those Jurassic Park fans, little Dennis Nedry here, you know, I didn't use this in my presentation, but what I did do was only show them options to join our team, because maybe they were coming because they realized that we were better than them and they wanted to see if we had any recs open, or they can find out some company information. Okay, now I'm not hiding my resources page. I'm not, you know, showing a 404 error. I'm not making anything ugly that they could, you know, point out on Twitter as, oh, you're, you know, broken something or other, making me look bad. I'm just going to make it really hard for you to get there. Okay? You can take this as far down as you want. You could start redirecting pages based on people. If they go to resources, just send them right back to the home page if you really wanted to. Sometimes that's bad UX that they could point out. So we played it a little safe, but it was always fun to watch the numbers on impressions to this ad or personalization campaign that I was running. So that was one of my fun ones that people seemed to like. So that was competitors. So that's account lists. It is part of kind of the ABM model. You can definitely create lists based on known users that are at your competitors, people you know that are coming to your site. I had a Slack alert once go off every time a competitor was on my site. And so because it was a known person, they would clearly use their email domain on my site. They weren't hiding themselves. So you can totally target those people specifically for these campaigns as well. You don't need the ABM product. It just would not be through account lists. Okay, obviously, things most people want to see is seeing it in action. So we've kind of covered the weeds. We've kind of got the brain moving on what we can talk about, how we can target these people. So I'll show you a couple ways that we made that happen. Website personalization allows you to personalize content in 3 ways. The dialog box, which is kind of the overlay pop-up style box. You can anchor it. You can have it be top third, bottom third, whatever you want. Fully customizable. Appear for as long as you want, disappear when you want. Exit intent pop-up kind of deal. That's all a dialog campaign. Very useful. I have some examples of that. In-zone campaigns. So this is if my website says hello, welcome, here's what we're talking about, but I wanted to change the text. I didn't want to pop up anything. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to make it look like I knew who they were, look like I was very hypersensitive to who they were, and I wanted it to say something a little bit more specific. You can target, for all you web developers or people that know HTML, this goes based on a div ID in your HTML. You can replace everything within a div ID and recreate it in an in-zone campaign. It swaps out the moment the page is loaded based on your segmentation. So it looks really cool because you can't tell it's there. Right? The third way to do it is a widget. This is more of the slide out type advertisement. So you'll see a lot of them on the retail shops where if you have a 15% off coupon, they want it on the screen a lot, but they want to, you can close it or open it, but it's usually pretty sticky. It's usually there. You can target these campaigns to start out the first time you're at the site, and then any time you're on the page again, it just retracts into an arrow and it's not obtrusive. So you always want to be cautious of your user experience. If every page I go to, I get this pop-up, I'm going to start going to fewer pages, and eventually I'm going to leave your page completely. So definitely want to set those up in ways that you can do it. So here's a page that we were working on. This is down towards the bottom of our page, but you see that little green arrow down on the bottom right. This is a widget. It is currently closed, and to the best of PowerPoint's ability, it kind of looks like that when it slides out. So this was a campaign. This is just a piece of creative, right? Title, little box, and a download button. This was our top performing ebook that we had at the time. We said if it's the top performing, it gets the most email responses, it's the most downloaded asset we have, why wouldn't it hurt to put it on this front page too? Just make it easier to get to. We saw a 5 to 10% increase on a week-over-week basis by adding it to our homepage. Everyone's downloading this already. We still got 5 to 10% more based on putting it on this page. It was our homepage. So awesome way to get that. You could also set it up to where, since 10,000 people have downloaded it, I don't want them to see it again next time, right? So you can target this to only appear if they're not a member of that program in your segmentation. So you can have it appear for those that haven't downloaded it. You can have it appear to those that have only been 5 times on your site. You can appear after 30 seconds on your site. However you want to do, however you can get a little bit of information right there. I set it up and I said I'm going to take it down as soon as it goes under about 6% of week over week. And I think this ultimately ran for like 6 months. It just performed week after week after week. And I couldn't change it. It wouldn't work. A cool way that we did it, we had an event, we went on a little mini event roadshow. And how many of you go to a website and you get an ad or you get something on there and it says, coming to a city near you? All right, and you're like, yeah, I want to click on that. They know I'm in wherever, Charlotte. So we were able to target people in the cities only that we went to, right? So only the people in New York saw this ad. Only the people in New York were technically invited to this, right? And so we were able to hypersensitive target these people. We did it kind of last minute. We sent some emails, and we got some registrations. We had our SDR team calling everyone in that region, personalized invites, the whole 9 yards. We said, we're still a little light on registrants. What else can we do, right? You look at LinkedIn, you looked at buying ads other places. I was like, hey, we got website personalization. Why don't I just throw this up for those cities? 20% of the registrations ended up coming from this in like the last minute afterthought campaign of, wouldn't it be cool if we could do that? So again, tremendous success. Blew me away from what we had expected. I would have taken a couple per city, just knowing that they're in the right area. Another option we did was to target speakers that we wanted to speak at an event. And let's say we wanted people from Fortune 1000 companies to speak and not people from small business, right? We could filter who sees our request for them to come speak at our event by their firmographic or behavioral information that they've done on our site. So just kind of cool ways that you can try to minimize the noise and really target your ads. The second campaign content type I want to look at is in-zone. This one was probably our most frequent used type of campaign, and that's because it's just the text replacement or the button copy or the background images. It's the most, I know you're targeting me because I know you're not just focusing on this type of industry, but at the same time I am, and I now feel a little bit more responsive to you. So if we look at, this was our homepage. It's basic, right? Great ideas, start here. Computer screen, not targeting really anyone in particular. Kind of goes over the graphs and the charts that anyone might respond to. But then we wanted to look at and say, okay, one of our best customers are people in the financial services industry. And when we looked at this page, it doesn't scream anything at me. It doesn't scream we support financial services. It doesn't scream that we do anything specific for them. So we swapped out the entire top section of this page, all the way from right below the nav down to and including those 4 additional CTAs at the bottom, and we made it look like this. So this screams money in whatever currency that might be. We focused on city in our top call to action, relevant to financial services people. We changed the demo request button to find out more. So this goes into more of a financial services playbook. We even defaulted the bottom CTA to focus and highlight on our ebook that we had created just for finance people. Right? So now I'm in finance, I come to this site, I know that they do more than just work with financial services, but now I'm invested. No pun intended. So just a way to personalize, right? A lot of times people think personalization, they think inserting names in the emails. So this is, hi JD, that's not personalization, right? This is personalization. You don't even know it's happening. You assume that it's happening. We as marketers, we know that this is happening, right? You can tell when this is not, when this is kind of personalized for you, but it feels good still. So nice way to show the people in those industries. So we did it across, I think in our account list target earlier, you saw we had 4 targets, financial services. We had another one for manufacturing. So we were able to really capitalize on colorful, bright, vibrant artwork, changing the CTAs. Same functionality here, right? Focused on a customer, swapped out the demo buttons, added the ebooks for more traffic. So it was a good campaign. This one, we would end up just leaving this on. It never not performed, but it was always just kind of like a feel-good thing. You know, we're targeting these people. We want them to feel welcome. The results really just spoke for themselves. So it was kind of a good way for us to do it. So those were in-zone campaigns, swapping out things. So you could swap out just the image tag if you wanted. You could swap out just the CTA of the button if you wanted to start simple. Right? If you start doing the A/B tests, you can start sending people different variations of those. So the third type was the dialog box. It took me a long time to figure out the best way to use these because it's a pop-up, right? Pop-ups don't have the best connotation to them, you know. People don't have in-zone blockers. They don't have widget blockers. They have pop-up blockers. Pop-ups are intrusive, sometimes irrelevant, so you really had to find the right use case for this, and we did. So on our homepage, you click Request a Demo. It takes you to this page. Now, a lot of people, when you request a demo, you don't know what's coming, right? Does it say book an appointment with sales? No, it says request demo. Does it say watch a video about our demo? No, it just says request demo. So we didn't know what people wanted to see when they clicked that button to our homepage. They were brought to this form, not the most cozy form. Needs some more information. You know, we have to be able to give you a demo, so we need phone numbers now, and it needs to be a little bit more specific. So the forms, you know, is what it is. Maybe a field or two too long, but we couldn't do much about it. But so what we wanted to do was see that the people that weren't filling out this form and dig into why. So what we did is we put a dialogue campaign down here. We had it timed to the exit intent functionality. So they saw the form, they're like, nope, I'm out. They go to either close the browser or hit the back button or leave your site completely. And instead you say, wait. You know, simple, this was our pilot test, right? There's not a lot of design here, there's not a lot of functionality, but what it gives us is the option of asking people, you know, why you're leaving because you don't want a demo. Is it because it wasn't what you found? Did you want a video? You know, which we included here. Did you want, you know, an ebook from customer references or one of our top converting assets? And so what we were able to do is look at the people that clicked on each of these links, track them over time, and decide what this page should have been if not a form. And so what we found was that 11 to 15% of the people that were going to leave this page went to one of these assets instead. We got a little bit more information. By the way, it was a video, was the winner, which we knew. That's kind of why we put it at the top. But this is 11 to 15% of the people that didn't fill out the form. So this form still worked for us. This was still a popular CTA for us. People were filling out this form, not all of them. So we were able to take that extra 10 to 15% and keep them on our site, keep them moving down a journey, redirect them to something. Maybe they weren't quite ready to speak with somebody. They were just looking for a different type of asset. So we were able to do that with a dialogue campaign. If they're going to leave your page and you throw a pop-up in their way to catch their attention, you know, to me that's kind of one of the most allowable reasons to see or have a pop-up, really to one last ditch effort. So that worked for us. Another one was product launches, right? Biggest thing companies do is a new release of a product, a new beta announcement. And so what we wanted to make sure was that when people came to our site, the day, the week, you know, the 2 weeks of a product release, they knew the first time that they came here that we have done something different. And so we were able to use a dialogue campaign here. We left it as sticky as no, which means that every time you come to this page, it does not stay. So only the first time, right? So the second part of our segmentation was number of visits. Less than or equal to 1 basically means 1. So the first time you come to our site, and only the first time you come to this homepage, you're going to see this graphic to give you a chance to find out more about our product. Chances are you might have been coming from an email campaign announcing that product, and this might have been redundant, so we could have segmented them out. But bottom line, we just wanted to give a quick little shout out to what we've been doing. So just some ideas for you guys to kind of take back on, you know, what information can we, should we not provide to people. That one actually worked well for us too. So that's kind of the three components of content AI, of website personalization. Nobody caught that? Nobody's keeping me honest? So the second add-on that I like to talk about, and they usually work well in parallel, is website personalization and content AI. So much, in fact, that they used to be paired together. When they first launched it, it was kind of a combo add-on. Now there's a lot of use cases for one or the other, so there's benefits to both. So kind of go through content AI. Content AI, did anyone go to Amanda Chris's session last night on hyper-personalization of the nurtured something or others? Cool, all right, these are great. Cool, so a couple of these. So some of you might have seen a little bit of a snippet of how to make these work for emails in nurtures. Content AI, well, it's kind of a buzzword, right? Let's get into what it really means. I guess it's not a buzzword because it's pretty self-explanatory. Content AI is the ability to recommend the right content to each person every time. So it's hard to dumb that down. It's only one sentence. But basically, it's the ability to add assets on your website or your emails that look at the person level detail of who's viewing it, swap them out into a kind of best order possible, right? So whether it's content type or type of person, time of day, all of these things get factored into the black box of content AI, trying to get you the best possible CTA or ROI, the click-through rates if you're measuring that. Right, so content AI gives you a lot of information up front, gives you a lot of information about all of your content, whether or not it's being used in this platform. It's kind of a full-blown summary. So what content AI does is it watches your site, it sees what people are doing, it sees what content they're clicking on, it sees what order they're looking at things, it sees everything that's happening. In our case, I never would have guessed 628. That seems like a whole lot. But we used content AI, was big for us in our blogs to kind of bring surface up blog posts, keep people reading more, getting really deep into kind of the thought leadership of our company. So we had a lot of blog posts. We had a lot of content on our site, right? Tells you the total number of views in the past few days. And then at this time, I was using 21 pieces of content in content AI applications, whether on the website or email. Okay, so the only thing I say there is that it's watching your site, right? It's not crawling your site. It doesn't say that I have 628 pieces of content. It's saying that I have 628 pieces of content that people have been looking at, right? So if when we first put this code on our site and you hit go and it launches and it comes up and it says 0, you're like, oh, right, the code didn't work, it's not crawling my site, something's broken, right? And so then you're waiting and you do something, you go look at some content and you come back and now it's like 2. You're like, okay, and you're like, oh, and so then we kind of hacked the system and I had somebody just go through and click all of our content. It then all appeared in Content AI as options for us to then cross-promote and use in other areas. So whether you want to sit and wait, you have some time to gather the data, or you have somebody that can just go through and click blog posts just to get it to register in this system. Just throw out that data if you're ever running ROI, because it's all going to be a 0. So Content AI gives you the name of your asset. You can categorize it based on URL patterns. So everything with a /blog for us was a blog post. So we were able to automatically add categories to probably 90+% of our content. There were some videos that were hosted places that weren't really recognized as where they should be categorized. So we set up the basic, right? White papers, videos, webinars, blog posts was pretty much for us. It then tells you over time how those are viewing, how the conversions and conversion rates are appearing. So good data, regardless. I haven't even used it in Content AI yet. I haven't put it on my website or done anything with it, but it's already just tracking, kind of building that black box full of data on who should receive this, who's looking at it, and what that looks like. Okay, so if we look from the bottom up, this is a screenshot of Content AI in the Marketo instance. So you simply have, right, a title tag, a URL of that asset. You have the button label if you want. There's, if you see the dots on the left, you have, I think it's 9, anyone want to count? 9 little dots of different layout options, right? So in this one, we have the little box at the lower third with the title. You can have that at the top, you can have it inside, you can have it outside, you can have it different colors. So there's 9 different layouts that you can choose from. It's a small box. In emails, it gets real small. You can't put a lot of content in there, is my one caveat to you guys. So we tried to be as concise as possible in designing this. So you can enable this to run in your email. So you want to send people an email and you want to give them additional CTAs that are relevant to them, that are what people are clicking on. How do you do that? You go into your email editor. This is Email Editor 2.0, although a very minimal screenshot. You have an image in your email already. All you do is right-click it and enable it, right there on the right, Enable for Content AI. You can select whether or not you want it to only be a white paper or a blog post. If your email is specific to one piece of content, then you can tailor these to be further in that journey. Or if they were topical, they can go on tags based on type of content rather than type of channel. Did you lose me? There. So that's how you do it. So let's look at what it looked like at the end. Oh, just kidding. Champion tip. You'll see in the next slide. We would put 3 pieces of content on one email. They are 3 independent pieces of content AI, right? They have their own tags. They have everything. My tip is to make them all look the same. So you're using layout option 6, right? Let's assume. So for all 3, my suggestion is to use layout 6 for all of them to keep consistent. You can choose different options per email. It can get confusing. Use caution. Be nice to your readers. So here's an email. This was an email we send out when somebody registered for a webinar. Does anyone know the open rate of a webinar follow-up email? No? No one knows? North of 50 to 60% open rates, right? When somebody registers for an email, I don't give them the link to join. I say, check your email. I have to sync with my webinar provider. I have to get that URL somewhere. I need to feed it into my emails. So the only way they can then attend or add my webinar to their calendar is to get the information from the email. Now, what's that email tell you? It kind of gives you the information of what you've already read, and it gives you the CTA of adding it to your calendar, or if it was closer to the time, you could use the Join Now link. But chances are people have just opened this email, taken a quick action, and you're in front of them. So what we did was added just this little section down here, labeled it Hungry for More. We enabled 3 pieces of Content AI, in this instance using a different layout, right? Upper third instead of the lower third, and just added that to that email. Now at a template level, this is clonable across any webinar that we run, tokenized, to use any of the information. I don't have to enable anything, and everyone who gets this email, more or less, will see something different, right? So it's going to look at whether they've seen this content before, it's going to look at all this information, and it's going to make sure that the right information is shown to them. It's the easiest set it and forget it recipe that you can do, and then all you have to do is manage to what content you have available in Content AI, regardless of where it's used. So if we would keep top 10 things running. All right, so I'd look at my top 10 blog posts, and I would enable those. I'd look at my top 10 webinars, I'd enable those. As time goes on, all I have to do is change that list of what my recent top 10s are. Every email that uses this layout, that content then changes. So people are staying fresh, and from a marketer operational perspective, it's taken me 30 seconds to change. So very easy. Don't forget about it completely, but you can utilize it and let it run, knowing that it's up to. Don't touch that. Okay, so the other email is one place, your website is another. They call your website rich media, which kind of makes sense. So putting rich media content on your website, same general layout, right? You'll see that email was kind of the first tab. Now we're under rich media. Same general options, titles, the URL of the asset. In this case, it's the image URL that you just used in the other one. But now we get to add descriptions. So now you can add content. People are on your website. You're showing them different information. You're now able to give a little bit more information. And otherwise, it works the same for your email, or for your website, sorry. So here's a look at our blog. I said we used Content AI heavily for cross-promoting our blog, to getting people to kind of binge more content, to surface blog posts that we may or may not have alerted people to. We were not huge fans of emailing people every time we posted a blog, so we relied on kind of the content preparation to show people the new content. So in this section, if it wasn't labeled recommended for you, I would ask you all to point to the Content AI section, but that's it right there. So in this instance, we were able to put our image, put our title. It's stylized to look exactly like our blog. It is managed completely through Marketo, and it's populating here and in a constant rotation fashion. Right, so for us, this was just going to rotate our 10 best webinars that we had. May not have been the 10 latest. They may not have been on that page. The other option that we had was to put it at the bottom of our blog post, right, to keep people that read all the way to the bottom. Give them 3 more options. Continue your journey. This is a different layout option that you have. My only caveat here is that if you look at it in this section here, all the buttons are the same. Okay, they all say learn more. Per page, you can only have one label or button label, and you can only have one category selection. So for us, this blog post was about a certain topic. We were able to pick, the category for this is to continue reading more blogs. So we were able to limit it to the category of blog, and then the label was all blog posts, so learn more was kind of what we went for. So that's the only caveat there. If you want to get really tricky and you have both web personalization and content AI, you can make this section a campaign and website personalization to then change and personalize these content AI pieces based on different categories. So it's kind of a way around this one label, one category option. You could say, okay, this time show webinars, and let's see if that performs better. So it could say watch now, and it could be a different content AI campaign harnessed and utilized through website personalization. I haven't done that, but it sounds awesome. The third type of content AI that they offer is what they call the bar. This is simply just putting kind of an advertised bar at the bottom of your website on any page that you want. Very limited. You get a title and basically a link. And you can add like the little arrows for the little CTAs. And so what we were able to do is we put that on our homepage. This isn't the best layout because it doesn't look like a computer monitor, so it's kind of hidden there at the bottom. But basically it said, hey, we have an event coming up. There's only 30 tickets left, so you might want to buy now. All right, we would turn this on and off. We would update the content, the number of seats that we had available, and then we would just let it run. One of the other kind of cool parts of content AI is the analytics. And so we'll look at a little bit of those. This is all the content on your site. This is top performing content both by views and by conversion rate. I think I had yep, there you go. This is all content, right? Not predictive. Predictive was what they kind of called content AI before. They're kind of trying to predict who's going to click on which asset. So this is kind of a lot of pieces of content AI are kind of just nice, like Marketo reporting, regardless on whether you're using the actual parts on your website. So it's a nice bonus to have. It'll show you these. You can change your search criteria and any filters you want based on type, so that you can see what's my best blog post if you want that instead. The next view down on that page I think this is last 14 days, so it's trending content. So you have the different pieces of content, how they were viewing and what the conversion rate was. Some people might say, why would you put a screenshot that has 90%, 0% conversion rates up here? But that's because it was blog posts. Blog posts for us don't have a form, so there's no conversion rate. Just in case anyone is still awake and caught that. All right, another cool thing that it offered was of the predictive content, right? So of the content you're using or have enabled for either web or email, which ones should you maybe think about? And this is just a quick top 5. And for us, we had already been at this point running 3 of the top 5. And so the 2 you see that I haven't associated an image to were recommended by Marketo, by Content AI, as options of content that I might want to add. Quick wins, go in there, see if anything that's been trending is on this list, add it to your campaigns, enable it, and you're done. This is where I wonder if I have another slide or not. Nope. That's it. So that's kind of very high overview of both products. I appreciate you listening. And if you have questions, Kylie.